Ron was nice enough, Captain Ron and David, to let us board this beautiful private jet. And Ron's going to tell us a little bit more about the procedure of taxiing, you know, before takeoff. So nice seeing you again, Ron.
Oh, thank you very much. Oh,
yes.
yeah, happy to talk about it. As we crank the airplane, there's a very set procedure on what we go through and how we do it, because there's a very set number of steps in this process, and we want to do them properly so that we crank the engine correctly and then bring up the electrics properly also. So we start the engines, and it's a very set process there as far as numbers go, and we have those memorized. We train once a year at least, and then take a check ride twice a year, just like airline pilots do, go through the process and all the emergency procedures and make sure that we're well equipped to handle anomalies or abnormal procedures there as far as what goes on with the aircraft. But as far as cranking it goes, you know, you basically get the engines rotating and then apply the fuel to the engine there and get it started up and allow it to spin on up. And then as we get both engines running, we call up the electrical power, and then we start bringing up the various, we call them avionics, but it's the various instruments there that we can power on up, once again in a very sequential process of making sure that it all happens orderly, and that the electrical load is added properly, and then that everything's brought up properly. And then we cross-check each other, David and myself, talking to each other and making sure, yes, we've accomplished all these steps. The aircraft is functioning properly, it pressurizes. This is a pressurized airplane so that we can travel at high altitudes and not have problems with the body. So we make sure it pressurizes properly, we do the various checks, and then once again making sure it's configured properly. How are we going to take off today? With flaps, without flaps, and what are the power settings, and the various speeds that we have to go through step by step as we accomplish that takeoff roll. So there's a lot that happens there. There's a lot of switches, but you like to set the switches in that process as you're getting ready to crank on up and get the airplane taxiing before you ever get to the runway, so that when you're actually taking the aircraft off on the runway, you're concentrated. Your mind is concentrating on that takeoff and not thinking about, well, did I set that switch properly or not? You've gone through the proper sequence, you've checked each other, and we always fly with two pilots in this particular airplane. Even though I'm single pilot qualified, we prefer two on the charters, just once again that we're checking each other and that we can meet more needs of the customers, and once again do it safely, efficiently, and to the passenger's comfort. So there's a lot of steps in that process there as we take on and off, but we want to make sure we do it good.
Thanks so much. That was great, Ron. Thank you.
You bet.
Yep. Great. Thank you, Ron.